going to go ahead and mute my mic, Akut Yaria, and so please feel free to go ahead, Akut.
Tira Aki, Halau Yahuah. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Just wanted to come forth a little this morning. You know, the children have been pressing on my mind quite a bit for the last few weeks. My children, your children, all of our children, you know. And, you know, we live in such a wicked time, and it seems as though it's escalating. I know I'm quite a few years older, and it's so different, you know, how we were raised and the things that were going on. And the young people just have so much more to deal with these days, and knowledge has increased so much. They're learning things that we never even learned in school, and but they have a lot of pressures and a lot of things. So I just wanted to share, you know, this song. I wrote this song about 7 or 8 years ago as I was thinking about my children. They were just beginning to get into college, and you know, I think Yahuah just kind of put these thoughts on my mind, and I just wanted to share them. I just wanted to tell the young people today, listen to your parents. You know, you may not understand everything that they are telling you to do, but they are serving Yahuah, and you never know. If they give you some instruction, you might think it's kind of silly, but just do it, because you never know what the Father is going to deliver you from, what He's going to show you, or where He's going to place you, or even a baraka, you know, or a punishment if you don't listen. So I encourage you. I know it's easy to do your own thing. It's easy just to, you know, say they don't know what they're talking about, but they do, because they serve Yahuah. So I just wanted to encourage all of the young people today to be who you are in Yahuah. Even if, you know, if you don't fully understand now, Yahuah willing, one day you will. So this is just it's like I said, it's a little song. And so please bear with me. Hello, Yahuah. What's on your mind? Oops, look at the time. Life situations got you moving so fast. But how long can you last? Don't let society's lies, yeah, make you hypnotized. You won't remember wrong from right. You have trouble sleeping through the night. You'll be in the tunnel, but you won't see the light. Slow down, ba 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 da. Life can be serious. Slow down, ba 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 da. But don't let it make you delirious. Hold on and listen to this truth. Torah will keep you in Yahuwah's way. It will keep you from going astray. 'Cause I don't want to see you pushing daisies, 'cause you got yourself caught up running with the crazies. Every decision that you make doesn't have to be a mistake. Now's the time to start breaking the break. Remember what Mom and Daddy said. Be slow to anger, keep a cool head. Don't be the problem, be the solution. Adjust your attitude, make resolution. What goes around comes around, it's called restitution. Slow down, ba 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 da. Before you take that action, slow down, ba 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 da. For every action there's a reaction, hold on. and listen to the truth. Torah will keep you in Yahuwah's way. It will keep you from going astray. 'Cause I don't wanna see you pushing daisies, 'cause you got yourself caught up running with those crazies. And every decision that you make doesn't have to be a mistake. Now's the time to start breaking the break. Hold on, ba-ba-ba-ba-da. Yahuah has a plan for you. Hold on, ba-ba-ba-ba-da. You may not understand, but keep going through. Hold on, take a look around and ask yourself this question. Was Torah written for me too? If it ask yourself this question. Hello, Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. I'm going to stop there. My throat is going. But I just wanted to share that with you and give Yahuah the praise and esteem, and pray that he continues to barak our children and to lead them and guide them. Hello, Yahuah.
Are you looking for the perfect neighborhood? Look no.
Much confusion, we've decided to unify. We won't let the vision die. We know there is a greater purpose, one aim, one destiny, and we'll all stay aligned to what's preferred by Yah. Man keep his hand in the hand of Yah, with woman by his side, our children will follow, and together in unity we'll shine and glorify Yah. Together forever we'll glorify Yah. In unity together we'll glorify Yah. In truth and in unity, one love, one destiny, one great God family. In truth and in unity, one love, one destiny, one great God family.
Yeah. Nothing will ever come between us.
Our bond is tight, doing what's required and what's right.
As long there is a greater purpose.
One aim, one destiny, and we'll all stay aligned to what's preferred by Yah. Man keep his hand in the hand of Yah, with woman by his side, our children will follow. Together in unity we'll shine and glorify Yah. Together forever we'll glorify Yah. In unity together we'll glorify Yah. In truth and in unity, one love, one destiny, one great God family. In truth and in unity, one love, one destiny, one great God family. Yah gave us back to one another.
He opened up our eyes, and he gave us the gifts of the Yahweh.
We know there is a greater purpose,
One
From everlasting to everlasting, thou art Yah. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art Yah. Thou art Yah. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art Yah. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art Yah. From the beginning, wherever the earth was, you were there. You were there. You had creation in the palm of your hand. Sun, stars, heaven above and earth below. The tides of the sea and the direction the winds blow. A humble servant you have made in me. A humble servant you have made in me. And my only desire is to follow thee from everlasting to everlasting. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art Yah. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art Yah. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art Yah. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art
Yahuah, praise Yahuah.
And your grace, magnificent. Words cannot express the splendor of your majesty. Praise Yah, praise Him in the morning. Praise Yah. Come on, praise Him in the noonday too. Praise Yah. Let everything that happens praise Yah. Praise Yah. And sometimes there'll be trials that will come your way, and the darkness encompasses you, that you can't tell your night from day. But Yah, He's faithful, and His word is so true, so true, so true, that in your darkest hour, it is Yah that pulls you through. Praise Yah. Come on and praise Him. Praise Him in the noonday too. Praise Yah. Let everything that happens praise Yah. Praise Yah. Oh, praise Him in the morning. Praise Yah. Come on, praise Him in the noonday too. Praise Yah. Oh, let everything that happens praise Yah.
For me, art was not.
Allahu Yahuah. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to each and every one of you, Mashpakai. It is wonderful to see you all today, to know that Yahuah has brought us together once again. And as we prepare to begin our fellowship today, I'd like to begin by reading from the book of Tehillim, chapter 78. And then after we have read from Tehillim chapter 78, that's Psalms chapter 78, I'd like for us to go ahead and I'm going to sound the shofar. I'm going to blow the shofar, and then we're going to come to some meet and greet, Mashpaka, and then we're going to go into our fellowship for today. We're studying from the book of Mashali, Proverbs chapter 12. We are now at chapter 12. I know that what's noted there on YouTube says chapter 11, but we're now in chapter 12, and I'm looking forward to sharing in Yahuwah's wisdom today from his word. And so may Yahuwah barak this time. But first I want to reflect on Tehillim chapter 78. Halahu Yahuwah. And at the backdrop of this, I think as I read it, I can't help but to think of our last foundational facts fellowship, where we read, where we were looking at the subject of the real Mount Sinai. And so this has a lot to do with this has a lot to do with the journey out of Mitzrayim. This has a lot to do with the Exodus. And so can't help but to reflect on that even as I read. But to Yahuwah be all praise, to Yahuwah be all esteem. Halal hu Yahuwah, he alone is deserving of praise. And so, family, Shabbat Shalom to you all. I'm going to go ahead and read from the text. You should all be seeing it on your screen. And so I'm going to go ahead and begin reading here in Tehillim, Psalms chapter 78. My people, give ear to my Torah, incline your ears to the words of my mouth, says Yahuwah. I open my mouth in a parable. I utter riddles of old. Okay? Which we have heard and known, for our fathers have related them to us. We do not hide them from their children, relating to the generation to come the praises of Yahuwah and his strength and his wonders which he has done. For he raised a witness in Yahuah and set a Torah in Yashar'al, which he commanded our fathers to teach them to their children, that it might be known to the generation to come, to the children who would be born, to rise up and relate them to their children, and place their trust in Elohim, and not forget the works of Al, but watch over his commands, is the bar. And not to be like their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation which did not prepare its heart, whose spirit was not steadfast to Al. The children of Ephraim, armed bowmen, turned back in the day of battle. They did not guard the contract of Elohim, and they refused to walk in his Torah. And they forgot his deeds and his wonders which he had shown them. He did wonders in the sight of their fathers in the land of Mitzrayim, in the field of Zoan. He split the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters stand up like a heap, and led them with the cloud by day, and all the night with a light of fire. He split the rocks in the wilderness, and made them drink, as from the great depths, and brought forth streams from the rock, and caused waters to come down as rivers. Yet they transgressed still more against him, to rebel against the Most High in the desert. And they tried Al in their heart by asking food according to their desire. And they spoke against Elohim. They said, is Al able to set a table in the wilderness? Look, he struck the rock, so that the waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Is he able to give bread also? Would he provide meat for his people? Therefore Yahuwah heard, and he was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Yahuah, and displeasure also came up against Yashar'al, because they did not believe in Elohim, neither did they trust in his deliverance. Yet he had commanded the clouds above, and opened the doors of Shamayim. And he rained down manna on them to eat, and he gave them the grain of Shamayim. Men ate bread of the mighty. He sent them provisions to satisfaction. He made an east wind blow in the heavens, and by his power he brought in the south wind. And he rained meat on them like the dust, and winged birds like the sand of the seas, and let them fall in the midst of his camp, all around his dwelling place. So they ate and were completely satisfied, for he brought them what they desired. They had not turned away from their desire. Their food was still in their mouths. When the wrath of Elohim came against them, and he slew among their fat ones, and he struck down the choice ones of Yasharal. In spite of all this, still they transgressed and did not believe in his wonders. So he ended their days in a breath, and their years in trouble. When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and did earnestly seek Al. And they remembered that Elohim was their rock, and the Most High Al their Redeemer. But they flattered him with their mouth, and they lied to him with their tongue, for their heart was not steadfast with him, and they were not true to his contract. But he, the compassionate one, pardoned crookedness, and did not destroy them, and many a time he turned his displeasure away, and did not stir up all his wrath. For he remembered that they were but flesh, a passing breath that does not return. How often they rebelled against him in the wilderness, and grieved him in the desert. And again they tried Al, and provoked the set apart one of Yasharal. They did not remember his hand, the day when he remembered them from the adversary, redeemed them from the adversary. How he worked his signs in Matzrayim, and his wonders in the fields of Zoan. He turned their rivers into blood, and they could not drink their streams. He sent among them swarms of flies which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them, and gave their crops to the caterpillar, and their labor to the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost, and gave their beast over to the hail, and their livestock to bolts of fire. He sent on them the burning of his displeasure, wrath and rage and distress, a deputation of messengers of evils. He made a path for his displeasure. He did not spare their being from death, but gave their life over to the plague. And he smote all the firstborn in Matzrayim, the fruits of strength in the tents of Ham, then made his own people go forth like sheep, and led them in the wilderness like a flock. And he led them on safely, and they did not fear, but the sea covered their enemies. And he brought them to the border of his set apart place, the mountain which his right hand had gained, and drove out nations before them, and allotted them a measured inheritance, and made the tribes of Yasharal dwell in their tents. Yet they tried and rebelled against the Most High Elohim, and did not guard his witnesses. But they turned back and acted treacherously like their fathers. They twisted like a treacherous bow, for they enraged him with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their carved images. When Elohim heard this, he was wroth, and greatly despised Yasharal. And he left the dwelling place of Shiloh, the tent which he had set up among men. And he gave his strength into captivity, and his beauty into the hand of the adversary. And he gave his people over to the sword, and he was wroth with his inheritance. His young men were consumed by fire, and his maidens were not praised. His priests fell by the sword, and their widows could not weep. Then Yahuah awoke as one asleep, as a mighty man who shouts because of wine. And he smote his adversaries backward. He put them to an everlasting reproach. Then he rejected the tent of Yahusha, and did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Yehudah, Mount Zion, which he loved. And he built a set-apart place like the heights. Like the earth, he founded it forever. And he chose Dahoud, his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds. He brought him in from tending the ewes, to shepherd Yaakov his people, and Yashar'al his inheritance. And he shepherded them according to the integrity of his heart, and led them by the skill of his hands. Allahu Yahuah. Praises to Yahuah. Hallelujah. Praises to Yahuah. Allahu Yahuah. Once again, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you all. Mashpaka, it is wonderful to be here on this Shabbat. We are here to praise Yahuah because He alone deserves praise, He alone deserves honor, and He alone deserves esteem. Hallelujah. With our breath, we will barak Yahuah. Hallelujah. Yahuah. Praises to Yahuah. We turn our faces toward the set-apart place of Yahuah today, Mashpaka, as we give praise and esteem to Him, and as we ask Him for favor upon this time. May Yahuah continue to barak and strengthen us, His people, and may Yahuah continue to awaken His people. And so join with me, family, as we turn our faces toward the set-apart place of Yahuah, seeking for His strength, seeking for His encouragement, seeking Him in our day of trouble, in our day of weakness, Hallelujah, in our day of temptation, Hallelujah, Yahuah. Father, we praise you and we barak your great name, because truly, truly, there is none like you. Abba Yahuah, you are awe-inspiring. Praise Yahuah. Shamayim declare your esteem, and the rats, the earth, shows forth your handiwork. Hallelujah. As we come before you today, we come with thanksgiving and with praise. We come, Yahuah, in humility, with a sense of thankfulness. Hallelujah. You have been good to us, Father. You have shown mercy and compassion, and for that we thank you. Abba Yahuah, we come today seeking you. We seek your face, Father. We seek for an outpouring from you. We seek for strength in days of weakness. Abba Yahuah, we seek for comfort in days of sorrow. Father, we come praising you in times of plenty and in times of provision. Abba Yahuah, there is none like you, and we barak your great name. As we come, we ask that you would look upon us with your favor. We ask that you would show compassion, continue to show compassion to your people. Continue to awaken those who sleep. Let the cry go out among your people, Father. Let the wind blow, Hallelujah, and let the awakening continue. I pray, Father, that today the words of our mouths, the meditation of our hearts would be found acceptable in your sight, O Yahuah, because you are our strength and our only Redeemer. And so as we come, we ask that you would lead, that you would guide, and that you would speak. We pray that you would take your word to the far ends of the earth. We pray that your people would hear and that they would surrender. We pray, Yahuah, that you would continue to create in us clean hearts and pure minds. Father, you said that only the pure in heart will see you. And so, Father, we pray that you would continue to do your work in us. Be esteemed, O Yahuah, among your people. Be esteemed over all the earth. Be lifted up, Yahuah, and may your name be praised. May your name be exalted. Barak, the household of your people. Barak, Yahuah, those who are sick. Barak, Yahuah, those who mourn, and strengthen them. Deliver them, Yahuah, from depression, oppression, and whatever it is that plague your people. Bring deliverance. Put in us a heart to obey you. Put in us a desire to seek you. Father, we know that we're not deserving of your favor, but we thank you for your mercy. And so, Father, have your way in our midst today. Barak every household represented here, and Yasharal, wherever we're scattered. I pray that you would continue to unite us as one people, one nation. And so, Abba Yahuah, we praise you and we thank you. In Yahusha's name, Amen. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuah. Praises to Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Tuda Rabbah to you, my Akut Sharia. It is wonderful to see you, Akut, and to see the family, all of the beautiful family here. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you today. In the great name of Yahuah. I begin by greeting my Akut Yariyah. Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut, and to your Bayat. It is wonderful to see you as always, Akut. To my Aki Yaderek, I greet you, Aki, in the name of Yahuah. Shabbat Shalom to you, my Aki. To my Aki Willie, the same to you, Aki. Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to see you as always, Aki. Also to my Aki Waraya Matatyahu, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, my Aki. Great to see you, Aki. And also to my Akut Vernice. Greetings to you, Akut Vernice. And through you, I want to send my greetings and my love to Aki Yaramyahu and Akut Yolanda. Also, I want to say Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to Akut Sharon. It is wonderful to see you as always, Akut. And again there to my Akut Yariyah. To my Akut Sharia, I want to say Shabbat Shalom Akut to you and to your Bayat. I want to send my love and greetings also to Aki Rob. Also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Renee. Wonderful to see you, Akut. Also, Laid Low. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Laid Low. Like that. Laid Low. Halal Huyah. Also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Aki Keith. Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki Keith, and also to Akut Joan. Want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut Joan. To Aki Franklin, greetings to you, my Aki. Wonderful to see you. And to my Aki Delayahu, it is wonderful to see you, Aki. And just give praise and honor for Yahuah continuing to keep you and to strengthen you. I know that you just approached the anniversary of losing your brother, your Aki, your blood brother. And I know how difficult that must be, Aki. But I praise Yahuah that he continue to strengthen you, to empower you, and to encourage you, and to keep you. And I just give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem for that. May Yahuah continue to barak you and to barak your bayat, to barak your family, and to strengthen them. And just to draw the rest of the family to him. May Yahuah's favor continually be upon you, Aki. I also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Carmen. It is wonderful to see you as always, Akut. And also to my Akut Amunah, to you and to your Bayat Akut, I say Shabbat Shalom to you. To my Akut Al Yashaba, it is wonderful to see you as always. Greetings to you, Akut, in the name of Yahuah. To my Aki Adi Al, I want to greet you, my Aki, in the name of Yahuah. Wonderful to see you as always, my Aki. And to my Akut Adelaide, Adelaide Farley, that's Akut Jones' mom. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut. Wonderful to see you as always, beloved Akut. And to my Akut Mahalia, greetings to you, Akut Mahalia. Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to see you as always. To Akut Mary, the same to you, Akut. It is wonderful to see you, to know that Yahuah has kept us and brought us together once again. And also to Akut Jeanette, greetings to you, my Akut, in the name of Yahuah. Hallelujah. It is indeed a delight and the baraka to be here. We do not take it for granted. Yahuah's work that he does on our behalf each and every day. He keeps us, right? He keeps us. And as we travel on the highways and as we go out into the streets and into the marketplace and into the workplace and into all the places that we go throughout the week, and we encounter and we interact many times. We interact with we interact with people of goodwill, and we interact with people of ill will. We interact with people many times we don't know that would love to destroy us, but yet the favor of Yahuah continue to keep us. And for that we give him thanks. I want to turn my attention to YouTube, and I want to say Shabbat Shalom. Want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Angela. It is wonderful to see you on this Shabbat, Akut, as always. Also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Praise Yahuah. Allahuya, praise Yahuah. Want to say Shabbat Shalom also to my Aki M. Harrison, and also to, don't want to mess this name up. Please, Akut, forgive me. Don't want to mess it up. Relanya, please forgive me if I messed up. But Relanya, want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, and praise Yahuah. I'm glad that you enjoyed the music, Akut. Also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Catherine. It is wonderful to have you with us, Akut. And also, who else have I missed? I think everybody else whose names are represented there, that I've said Shabbat Shalom to those whose names are represented. Also, though, want to say Shabbat Shalom to the family listening in on Facebook. And I'm going to try to do something today here. I'm going to try to get on Facebook where I can monitor the conversations. I realized last week that there were questions posted to Facebook that I did not see, questions and comments, because I wasn't monitoring the Facebook live feed. But I'm going to try to get on the Facebook live feed so that if there are any comments or questions, that I don't miss it. What I only hope that it does not take away from the broadcast quality because of the amount of memory being used. But I'm going to attempt to go there and see if I can keep monitor on that, so that the family who are joining us via Facebook, so that if you've posted something, that we do not overlook it, we do not miss that. Okay, let me just so give me just a second. I'm trying to get it going here, as you're probably able to tell. Bear with me just for a second. Let me try to get it going. Okay, see, it's processing a little bit slow, but let me try a different approach. I'm just trying a different approach. Bear with me here just for a second. Okay. Just for a second. Okay, I'll have to mute it, of course. Okay, yes. So what I'll seek to do, family, to the family joining us via the Facebook live feed, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut Yisraela, and I'm so sorry that I missed your message last week, and my brother, my blood Aki, Richard Shadi Hewitt. He is saying happy Shabbat from Jamaica. Shabbat Shalom to you, Shadi. Great to see you. And also want to say, let's see who else is on the feed here. So I want to take some time to, my wife is represented here. And so all of the family represented here on Facebook. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, family. It is great to know that you're able to join us today. Greetings to you in the great name of Yahuah. We're looking forward to a wonderful fellowship today, and of course, we're going to be coming from the book of Mashali. That's what they call Proverbs. The Abari name of the book is Mashali. Proverbs chapter 12. Mashali chapter 12 is where we will be today. And so it is my prayer that Yahuah, that this will be a barakah to each and every one of you as we go through. Now, before we go any further, though, I would like to take a moment just to greet to open the mic to anyone who may want to you want to send a greeting, or if you want have a testimony that you would like to share, you want to barak Yahuah today. I'd like to open up the microphone to anyone who desire to do just that. And so, family, I'm gonna, I spend a lot of time talking, but I certainly look forward to hearing your voices. Having this fellowship isn't about me just being able to talk, but just in as much as you need encouragement, and in as much as my voice might be an encouragement to you each week, your voice and your testimony is an encouragement to me also, because we live in a world where much competes for Yahuah in our lives. Much compete for Yahuah in our lives, you see. And what we do need one another. We're told in the book of Abarim, that's what they call Hebrews. We're told in the book of Abarim, chapter 10, I believe it is, that we should not forsake the assembling of ourselves together. And not just in the book of Abarim, not just in the book of Hebrews, but that is the construct upon which the scriptures was given. Yahuah intended, as always intended, for us to function as one unit, to function as a nation, to function as a people, and not as individuals. And so assembling ourselves together is a critical part, a key part of our living. And so each one is important to the other. And so your words and your testimony are just as important, to me as perhaps mine may be to you. And so, family, I want to open up the mic to anyone who may want to share today. I see Laid Low. The mic is free, Laid Low, so please go ahead. I see your flag. I like that title, by the way, Laid Low. I'm going to unmute your mic for you. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute it now, Laid Low.
Hello?
Okay, you are open.
To the Shabbat Shalom, Mr. McCall. This a key that I just changed it up a little bit.
Hey, your voice you didn't have to tell me the name. I knew exactly it was my key.
So the Shabbat Shalom, Mr. McCall. I pray everybody, what I'm saying, in good ruach. But I'm glad you read from the Psalms today, Akhi, because it's been something you have been dealing with me about 2 weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks, about accountability. Taking accountability instead of making excuses for the stuff that we do.
Yes.
And I just want to share with the Miss McCall. A lot of people probably already know this information, but for the ones that don't, I just want to share it, and hopefully it can help like it's helping me. Because for a long time, I made the excuse of I don't know why I do some of the stuff that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, what I say about the past month, you have been letting me know that we don't take accountability. We're going to continue to repeat the same pattern over and over.
Yes, indeed.
We take accountability for our actions, and be true with ourselves and with Yahuah. And, we have the power to ask ourselves if we still want to continue to do the stuff that we've been doing. And that's where the change comes. So hopefully that, somebody can get something from this. But it's really been a barakah to me.
Praise Yahuah.
I just wish the best for all the Mishpachah that continue to grow daily, and who will continue to keep us pure at heart, like you said.
Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Aki, that's a great word, Aki. That's a great word, and I'm glad that you shared taking personal responsibility and accountability. Establishing accountability, because ultimately at the end of the day, we have to make a decision. We have to make a decision as to how we're going to live our lives. We've got to make a decision as to what we're going to choose to do and not do, you see, at the end of the day. And that's so important. And that's what the book of Tahalim is all about, you know. So when we look at our situation, even as a people as a whole, I speak to Yashar the people of Yahuah, those who know who they are and those who don't yet know who they are. You might be getting an inclination because the awakening is real and it's happening. But you see, for things to begin to change, we've got to begin to take accountability and personal responsibility. We've got to make a decision that, you know what, even though it might be difficult to make the right choice, even though it might be difficult to do the right thing, I'm going to have to make my flesh, I'm going to have to make this flesh do the right thing. Because the thing that keeps us in captivity, the thing that keeps us in bondage, is our willingness to go along with the desires of the flesh. You see, and the desires of the flesh always feels good. The problem is that the feel good feeling don't last very long, because pretty soon after the grim reaper comes for his payment. You see, and so but we've got to make the hard choice to do what's right. And so serving Yahuwah is about making the difficult choices in life. It's easy to do what's wrong. It really is. And it comes naturally. Because we were born in transgression. We were born in sin. We were shaped in iniquity, you see. In sin we were conceived, you see, and so it comes naturally. The hard thing is to do the right thing, but we have got to make a commitment and the decision that we're going to do the Torah of Yahuwah. We're going to walk by his instructions, you see, and so when we do that, we will be pursued by the favor of Yahuwah. That's what his word says, and that's what really happens. If we will walk according to his word, his favor will pursue us, and guess what? He will destroy our enemies, because the very pit that the enemy digs for us, that enemy will fall into that pit. He says in the book of Ecclesiastes, he says that he who digs a pit will fall in it, and he who breaks an edge, the serpent will bite him. And so for those who seek to break the edge of Yahuwah around his people, for those who seek to encroach upon the protection of Yahuwah that he has placed upon his people, the serpent will bite that one. And for those who lay a snare and a trap for the people of Yahuwah, they will fall in it. And so, Aki, your word is very powerful and very important. And I'm glad that you followed up on that. And so praise Yahuwah. There's a flag. Let me go. Aki, by the way, before I go to Aki Delayahu, I'm looking forward to hearing from you, Aki. Before I go to Aki Delayahu, Aki Daniel, was there anything else you had to share, Aki, before I let you go? I think we might have lost Aki Daniel, unfortunately. Yeah, I think we lost our Aki. But, okay. And I want to say welcome to Akut Yisraela. And Akut, if you want to, I can to undo your camera. You can click on the three buttons to the bottom right of the screen, and you can turn your camera off. Maybe I can do it for you. That way, let me see. Okay, let's see. Okay, there you go. All right. So let me go to Aki. I think we lost Aki. Aki Daniel is back. Okay, I just want to make sure, Aki, that there wasn't anything else you wanted to say, but I want to say again to the Rabbah for sharing, Aki. That was indeed a baraka. Let me go to Aki Delayahu. Please go ahead, Aki.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, Aki.
Yeah, I just it's gonna be brief today. I just wanted to vocalize my to the family that tell them shalom verbally, and Yahuwah is good, and he brought us through another week. He's gonna keep us through the next, and that's about it. Aki.
Praise Yahuwah, and to the Aki, to the for sharing. And that is certainly true. He brought us through another week, and he's going to keep us through the next. Indeed, he is. I'm reminded, sometimes, you go through situations, and it might be challenges. Some people might be dealing with financial challenges, or some kind of challenge, and and you come to that challenge and you feel like it's gonna overpower you. It feels as if you're gonna be overcome by it. It might be a spiritual challenge. It might be a challenge in your walk. It might be that you feel a little tired, that you feel like giving up, that you feel like I just don't want to continue. I don't want to be, I just want to relax. And it's a challenge, you see. But I'm reminded when it comes to that point, something that I read in the book of Yahusha. That's what they call the book of Joshua. That's what they call Joshua. In the book of Yahusha, where they were walking through the wilderness, and they came to a challenge. I believe it's somewhere in chapter 19. I don't remember the details right now. But what Yahusha said to them was, he said that we've been this way before. And basically, Yahuah had revealed himself to them, that he had been a deliverer to them. And if he did it before, he will do it again. You see, and so there are times when we come to a place where we feel tired. There are times when we come to a place where we have obstacles and challenges that feel as if they're going to overpower us and they're going to overtake us, and that it's going to be the end of us. But what we got to do is we guys got to keep on holding on to Yahuah and his word. Remember his promises toward his people. And sometimes it's even hard to hold on to Yahuah. Sometimes it's difficult to look to his word. But that's when we got to make ourselves do it, because that's where our healing is. That's where our strength is, you see. And we got to make ourselves get there somehow. We got to make ourselves get there. And in the meantime, as we're seeking to get there, we got to cry out to him, because he is our help. He is our help. We got to cry out to him. So when it's hard even to pick up the writing, when it's hard to pick up the word, when it's even hard to listen to his word, cry out to him. Even if it's in a little voice, even if you can barely get it out, cry out to him, you see, and he will deliver. Call upon his name and he will hear and he will deliver, you see. And so be encouraged, family, and to the Rabbi Aki for sharing that reminder that he brought us through last week, and he's going to bring us through the other week. And so Yahuah is good, and he is greatly to be praised. Hallelujah. Let me go to anyone else before we get into our lesson for today. Anyone else, family, before we get into our reading for today? Yes, go ahead, Aki. Aki Yaderek, by the way. Aki Yaderek is joining us all the way from Germany. And as I mentioned before, my brother is joining us from Jamaica, and we have family scattered all over the place. We give Yahuah praise for making all of us come together in his name. Hallelujah. Please go ahead, Aki.
Shabbat Shalom, family. I'm coming in tonight, and I want to again encourage everyone going through whatever they're going through. I just wrote that I've been feeling the last few weeks with the buildup. I don't even want to say buildup, just with the constant pressure on police brutality and racism. You know, you get tired of dealing with the issues. You really, really get tired of always dealing with the issues and talking with people who don't understand the experience of carrying that weight around, that mental weight around. Scriptures tell us that the shackles came off when we were destroyed, mentally destroyed as a people, and the slavery, the mental slavery that a lot of our people are still dealing with, is a constant weight on those of us who have come away from it, but our heart still yearns for those of our family still caught in it. Yes. And unable to pull them out of it or to wake them up. And so, yeah, I've been really tired, just carrying that weight around and trying to focus on the things that I need to focus on as far as school and family, and keeping just a focus of those things in as the priority, with those other things in the background trying to creep in and steal attention and steal peace. But we know that Yahuah gives us peace, and And I really wanted to focus on that, just to encourage everyone. You know, if you're dealing with this the way I've been dealing with it, it's an on and off issue with you, which I can easily imagine with all of us. There's something about this experience that sets us very much apart from anybody else, and the people who don't have that connection to this experience
Yes.
can't speak on it.
Yes.
They can't speak on it. They show themselves to be outsiders by the questions that they ask, because they do not understand it. And I just want to say, be encouraged, family, because those of us who know what we're going through and know the weight that we're carrying, we have the ability, when we do come together, to help each other and encourage each other in the way that we need to be encouraged, and not with empty platitudes. And that's what I wanted to share. And I'll release the mic now.
Praise Yahuah. Aki Willie said something as you were speaking, and he said the burden is real. The burden is real, and that's for real. The burden is real, and that's for real. You see, family, what has happened to us as a people? Yes, indeed, that's right. Yes, he's trying his best to keep us off focus. Certainly is. Now, you see, family, as a people, if Yahuah sees us as a body, Yahuah sees us as a body. Now, what does Yahuah say about the body? Now, keep this in mind. Now, keep this in mind. We are a dysfunctional people, right? We're a dysfunctional body. We're a dysfunctional body. But no matter where we are, no matter where we're scattered, we are a body. Okay? Doesn't matter what country we're in, what state we're in, or what city we are in, we are one body. We're a nation. I'm not saying that every black person around the world is Yasharal, because that's not the case. But you have a lot of Yasharal around the world who don't know that they are Yasharal. And then you have people who know that they are Yasharal, who are their focus is so inward. Their focus is so much on self that no matter what goes on to the rest of Yasharal around the world, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fade them. It doesn't have the kind of impact that it should. But Yahuah referred to us as a body. Okay? Yahuah refers to his people as one body. We are a body. And what happens? What do we know about the body? When one member of the body hurts, then the whole body hurts, right? When you have a toothache, can you escape in your mind and say, I'm going to focus on my toe because my toe don't hurt? I'm just going to focus on my toe. And by focusing on my toe, the toothache is going to go away. Can you do that? If your back hurt, can you say, you know what? My head don't hurt, so I'm going to focus on my head so that the effects of the pain. Microphone is open somewhere there, family. If you could check your mics for me. Let's see, there's a mic. Okay, Tuda. Okay. If your back hurt and your head don't hurt, can you say, you know what, I'm going to escape to some place in my mind where I'm just going to focus on my head because now my head don't hurt, only my back hurt, and so if I just focus on the head, then I won't be aware of the pain? No, the body does not work like that. When one member hurts, the whole body knows it. You see? When one member hurts, the whole body knows it. So, because of that, the burden is real. The burden is real. Now, if we don't feel the burden for our people, listen, family, if we don't feel the burden for our people, when there is injustice, then we got to check ourselves. Okay? If we don't feel burdened concerning injustice, we've got to check ourselves. We just really have to check ourselves. Listen, when you study the scriptures, and you see the prophets, the people who still have a heart for Yahuah, anyone who have a heart for Yahuah still always does have a heart for the nation. Anyone who has a heart for Yahuah has a heart for the rest of the nation. Anyone who has a heart for Yahuah has a heart for even those who are living in disobedience, and as a result of them living in disobedience, they're suffering. Yes, it's because of their disobedience why they're suffering. Indeed it is because of their disobedience why they're suffering. But what you will notice is the prophets, even the prophets go through. Every prophet in Yashar'al, when the people suffered, the prophet, went through. Okay? They get depressed. They get oppressed. They carry a burden because their heart is for the people. And what they desire most of all, yes indeed, always wanting better for the nation. What they desire most of all is for the people to wake up, because the quicker the people wake up, then the quicker the wicked can be put to rest. You see, the quicker deliverance can come. But it burdened them to see the affliction of the people because of their disobedience. And not only does it burden them, to ensure that they feel the burden, Yahuah would tell them to do certain things. Yahuah would tell them to bound themselves. Yahuah would tell them to go say this, when he know that the people not going to receive it, and the people going to spit on them, the people going to beat them, the people going to lock them up, the people going to do all kinds of things to them. Why does Yahuah tell them to do it? Because he want them to experience the burden. Because them living in accordance with the word of Yahuah is not as burdened, not as oppressed as those who are walking in outright disobedience. Because the favor of Yahuah is upon them. But Yahuah put them in the midst of the fire lest they lose touch. You see. And so because we have a heart for our people, even though they're living in disobedience, then when we see injustice, yeah, it is injustice. Yes, it's as a result, the injustice is as a result of their disobedience, but that does not make it not injustice. I think there's some misunderstanding there sometimes with our people. That simply because our people are disobedient, what the wicked does is just. No, nothing the wicked does is ever just. Everything the wicked does is unjust. And so it is still injustice, you see. And they will be judged for their wicked injustices. But it is a real burden that we carry, you see. But at the same time, while we carry that burden, you know, Yahu, that's who they call Elijah. Yahu was carrying a burden for his people. Sometimes some people miss that point. They think that Yahu was running for his life and that he was only concerned with himself when Jezebel was trying to get him. His concern wasn't himself. His concern was the nation of Yashar'al. And because you had this king and his foolish wife that was now ruling the nation and misleading the nation, the man of Yahuah had become so burdened that he crawled into a cave and he prayed for death to come. He had become so burdened that he prayed for death to come. You see? And Yahuah had to come in when he fell asleep. Yahuah sent his messenger to him. The messenger smacked him on his leg and said, "Get up and get out of this cave." So while we see the injustice, we got to continue to seek Yahuah. We know that the injustice is present, but you cannot immerse yourself in it so much that it becomes to get the best of you, to the point now where it takes, you lose total focus of Yahuwah and you're only seeing the injustice. You can't, sometimes you got to step away when you feel like you're becoming too immersed in it. You got to step back. You see? You got to step back because you can become so immersed in it that you lose focus. You see? But at the same time, you can't step away so far that you lose touch. And when you, after you have stepped away, after you've climbed out of the cave, then you got to go back to proclaiming the truth. You see, proclaiming the truth in every way and in every area. But the injustice is real, the oppression is real, and the burden is heavy. I think it was last week, I'm just going to say this very quickly. There was a white lady in Minnesota. She was riding by in her car, and I shared the video on Facebook. She was riding by in a car, and a black guy was walking, and they were doing work on the sidewalk, and he went to, in order to get around where they're working, he has to step out off the sidewalk. He has to step off the sidewalk. Now the police knows that. The police is sitting there. The police knows that he has to step off the sidewalk. What's amazing is Yahuwah is leaving a witness against the wicked. Okay? He is taking record. He is taking record of their deeds. This white lady was riding by, and Yahuwah caused her to pay attention to the situation. She saw the black guy walking up the sidewalk, and seeing that he had to step off the sidewalk, Yahuwah caused her to know that, and then as he stepped off the sidewalk, walking on the white line, the cops start driving toward him. She stopped her car, got out of her car, and started recording what would take place next. And what happened was the cop went, grabbed him up, trying to arrest him for walking in the middle of the street. Something that he did not do. Didn't walk in the middle of the street. But the cop is accusing him of walking in the middle of the street. But this lady stopped and started videotaping and started trying to calm the police down. Okay? Now they still went ahead and charged the guy, bring charges against this guy for walking while black. That's what it is. Okay? Charged him. But you know what happened? Because of the witness, they dropped the charges against him. But if that lady, if Yahuwah had not preserved a witness, then that would have been just another charge against this guy. And you know what would happen to him? When he go to get a job, things like that affect him. Okay? They lock you up, and that's what they do to our people. Should we not be burdened by that wickedness and that nonsense? Should it not anger us? It certainly does anger me, you see. It certainly does anger me. And it brings a burden, you see. The burden is real, you see. But you know, Yahuwah is taking account. We have a responsibility to cry out, you know, but we got to stay plugged into Yahuwah. And we got to let him guide us. He'll let us know when it's time to step back, you see. You know, there are times when you might see me a lot on social media, and there are times when you don't see me a lot. Because Yahuwah let me know, okay now, all right, that's enough. Step back. And I'll step back, you see, because I might be losing touch, you see. And so I might be becoming too overwhelmed. Yahuwah caused me to know, okay, it's time to step back, you see. And so you step back. Yep, the 13th. That's what it's about. Yep. And so, but it is a burden, family. But be encouraged. Yahuwah is keeping score, and he's going to settle it in the end. Our people, however, in the meantime, need to wake up. Our people need to hear the message of Tahalim, Psalms chapter 78. Our people need to understand that this is why we're going through what we're going through. Because of our disobedience, because of our stiff-neckedness, you see, because we have turned away from Yahuwah, you see. Yes, got to watch the 13th. Got to watch the 13th, Akut. Got to watch the 13th. And I say, too, that all black people need to watch, what is it called? The Birth of a Nation. Our people, all of our people need to go watch The Birth of a Nation. And you need to take your children to watch it also. They need to see it. You need to watch The Birth of a Nation. Okay? Now, people out there, and I'll say a lot of white people out there are putting out false information about the birth of a nation. Okay? They've been trying to write it off even before the weekend was finished, and they're still trying to write it off. Okay? Well, it's not for them. It's not for them. The birth of a nation helps our people to see how we have become bamboozled, how we were duped. Okay? It helps us to see how we were duped and bamboozled. I'm going to give 3 recommendations for our people to watch. The 13th, the documentary, it's available on Netflix. The 13th, the documentary, it's available on Netflix. The 13th. Okay? I recommend for our people to watch The Birth of a Nation. And I would recommend for our people to watch a documentary. The Republicans use it as a political tool, but that's not why I'm recommending you to watch it for the politics of it. I'm recommending you to watch this one for the facts of it. Every election year, there's this video on YouTube that they start sharing a lot. Every election year. Okay? It's about what they call, it's not about, they try to make it about only about abortion. Well, no, let me put it this way. They try to use it as a political tool, but I recommend you watch it and pay attention to every detail of it. Okay? The name of it this year, they changed the name this year. The name of it this year is what's the name of it? I have it on my page, my YouTube page. Something about white man's burden. Black genocide. Black genocide and the white man's burden, or something like that. They titled it this year. But I recommend you watch it. Listen to, in that video, even listen to what's that president's name? Nixon. What was his first name again? Nixon. I forget his name. But listen to what even Nixon, Richard Nixon, that's it. Listen to what Richard Nixon had to say in 1972, I believe it was, or 1976, somewhere there. Listen to what Richard Nixon had to say about black people. Okay? While he was president. While he was president, Richard Nixon having a conversation about when he was thinking of running again for the White House. Having a conversation, he said he was talking about 2 different states. And he was talking about promoting abortion. Okay? And he said that the people in Minnesota, they were strategizing. And he said that the people in Minnesota, the white people in Minnesota would vote for it because it would get rid of the black bastards. Okay? That's what Richard Nixon said. Caught on tape in a phone conversation from the White House. Okay? His plan was to wipe out wipe out black people. But watch that video. It have a lot of historical facts, quotes, and recordings from people in high places. Their plot, their schemes against us. That's Birth of a Nation. The Birth of a Nation. The 13th. And also that documentary that I was just talking about. Black Genocide, the White Man's Burden. If you go to my YouTube page. You should see it somewhere up there, but I recommend it. Again, so when you watch these things, and you know, some people like to be in denial that these things aren't real and that this is not happening and that there isn't a scheme against us as a people. But the fact is, there is. When you become knowledgeable of these things, they become quite a burden, and you should be burdened by them. But you also got to know when to step back, you see. And you know what your role is, and let Yahuah does his work. We use them to awaken our people. But don't become so immersed that you lose sight of what your job is, what your role is, you see. So, you know, to the Rabba Akut. But I encourage your family to watch those. I recommend The Birth of a Nation. In particular, when I say all black people should watch it, our people, that is, people of Yasharal, because it shows you how they use Christianity to make us dumb. It shows you the process of the dumbing down using Christianity. It really did a great job of showing you how they did that. Okay? And it shows you it didn't go into the depths of their wickedness, but you see enough of it. You see, it was very well done, even though they criticize. You have people out there criticizing it. If I made that movie, I would have went further, but they did it. They did well, and they could have shown more of the atrocity, but they didn't. But what they showed give you an idea. Okay. Yes, right. Not Birth of a Nation, but The Birth of a Nation. There is one out there, Birth of a Nation. That's done by some racist people portraying, to portray black people in a negative light. Yeah, the KKK. All right. So that's that. Anyway, so yes, we do carry a burden, family. The burden is real, but Yahuah is stronger. You see, he say, cast your cares upon him because he cares for you. And so, we cast our burdens on him. And may he strengthen us to continue to walk this walk. Yes, indeed. Yes. All right. Well, again, to Yahuah be all honor and esteem. We're going to get into our study here today, family. We're going to be reading from Yahuah's word in the book of Mashali. Proverbs chapter 12 is where we're reading from today. It is my hope and my prayer that our reflection in Yahuah's word will bring wisdom, will bring knowledge and understanding, and that it will encourage us to become who Yahuah desire for us to be in him and through him. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to turn our attention to the word of Yahuah coming from the book of Mashali, Proverbs chapter 12. Okay, so I'll be putting that on the screen here. I'll be putting that on the screen as soon as I remember where I put it. Let's see. Okay. Mashali, Proverbs, wrong window. Okay, I've got a lot of windows open. Got to find the right one. Here we are. Mashali chapter 12. It's Proverbs chapter 12. Again, these are words of wisdom inspired by Yahuah through his servant, words that we can learn and grow by and from, right? Beginning in verse 1, it says, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. Okay, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. All right, now that's important in every area of our lives. discipline. Now the word discipline is used, okay? But, and you look at the word discipline, that's an English word, right? And you look at the word discipline, let me minimize this for a second. Discipline. When we think of the word discipline from an English perspective, many times we only think about it as somebody beating you, hitting you, right? That's the way some people perceive discipline, right? That's at least that's the way we have been conditioned to view discipline as, and that's the problem with people being disciplined. That's why some people don't like discipline, because the slave master, when he talk about discipline, he only talk about whipping, right? And as we know, with slavery, many whippings were undeserved, and many whippings are undeserved. You see, slave master ain't having a good day, then he want to beat you, right? Whatever the case is, he just want to whoop you. And so we have come to associate discipline only with a whipping. And when we talk about being disciplined, we think about it as being whooped. When we talk about discipline in our children, we think about only whipping our children, right? Only beating, or if we want to say only spanking our children. For many people, I think that when you talk about discipline, the only thing that comes to mind, the only picture they can see is that of a belt. You see? That of striking. But discipline goes beyond that. As a matter of fact, discipline does not start with the rod. Discipline does not start with the belt. The purpose of the rod is to bring you back in line. But the purpose of the rod is not to get you in line. So what gets you in line is the word, is the Torah, is the wisdom of Yahuah. The instruction of Yahuah is what brings discipline. You see, there's a difference in having discipline than in being disciplined, right? So whoever loves discipline, another way to put this is, whoever loves to be, when I use the word educated here, I'm not talking about from the perspective of the world education system, but whoever loves to gain knowledge, whoever loves, that's why it says whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. You cannot say that you love discipline, but you hate knowledge, because knowledge is what makes you disciplined. So it's talking about from the perspective of Yahuwah's word. So how do we become disciplined as a people? We become disciplined as a people by gaining knowledge of the word of Yahuwah. We become disciplined as a people when we learn to love, when we come to love, not learn to love, but when we come to love the instructions of Yahuwah. We become disciplined as a people when we become hungry for his word. And as we become hungry for his word, then we begin to seek out his word. And as we seek out his word, we gain instruction through his word. And the instructions gained through his word brings discipline to our lives. So whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. If you love knowledge, then you have discipline, because discipline comes through having knowledge. When you know the instructions of Yahuwah, then you will walk in the instructions of Yahuwah. And when you walk in the instructions of Yahuwah, you will live a disciplined life. And the rod is not necessary when you're living a disciplined life. But the problem is when we think about discipline because of what have been done to us, We think that to live a disciplined life is to have a life where we're continually being whipped. And that's not the intent of Yahuah. Yahuah's intention is not that his people continue to be whipped continually day after day. Yahuah's intention is not that his people continue to be oppressed day after day. That Yahuah's intent is not that his people continue to be treated with injustice day after day. But Yahuah's intent for his people is that his people would continue to live by his word day after day. He says, do not let this book of Torah depart from your mouth, is what he says to Yahusha, the son of Nun, in the book of Yahusha, what they call Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 8. He says, do not let this book of the Torah, do not let this book of my instruction depart from your mouth, but you ought to meditate upon it day and night, so that you may be careful to do the things that are written therein, and then I will make your way prosperous, and then you will find good success. If you will meditate upon my word, my Torah, my instructions day and night, if you would keep them before you, you would become knowledgeable. And by becoming knowledgeable, you would live a disciplined life. You would not be a squanderer. You would not be a whoremonger. You would not be foolish, but you would be wise in all you're doing and in all you're undertaking. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, because there can be no discipline without knowledge. A person without knowledge is an undisciplined person. A person without knowledge is their own enemy, because when you have no knowledge, you work to destroy yourself. That's why Yahuah says in his word, for a lack of knowledge, my people perish. And where did the lack of knowledge begin? It begins with the rejection of his Torah. It begins with the rejection of his instructions. He says, for a lack of knowledge, my people perish. Because you have rejected me, because you have rejected me, you have rejected my instructions, I will also reject you. And I will reject your children and your children's children. You see. So whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. Knowledge leads to a disciplined life. But he who hates reproof is stupid. Knowledge reproves us. Knowledge changes our bad ideas. Because before knowledge comes, we might think a certain way. We might think that by doing things this way, then we're going to get this benefit from it. But when knowledge comes, we might very much find out that by doing it that way, we're not gaining a benefit. We're actually being destroyed by our actions. So whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. It's not talking about, no, listen, let's be fair. Nobody loves to be whipped. And that's not what Yahuah is saying. He's not telling us that you should love to be beaten. He's telling us that we should seek knowledge. Seek knowledge. Okay? Seek knowledge. Let me go to the book of Husha for a second. That's what they call Hosea. Let me just go to it. Husha, Hosea. He who loves discipline loves knowledge. Husha. They call Hosea. He who loves discipline loves knowledge. Beginning in verse 1 of chapter 4. Hear the word of Yahuah, you children of Yasharal, for Yahuah has a case against the inhabitants of the land. For there is no truth, or kindness, or what? Or knowledge of Alakim in the land. Swearing and lying and murdering and stealing and committing adultery have increased. Why? Because knowledge is lacking. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of his instructions. And bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land mourns, and everyone living there languishes for a lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge leads to uncivilized living. Swearing and lying and murdering and stealing and committing adultery have increased, and bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land mourns, and everyone living there languishes, with the beast of the field and the birds of the heavens and the fish of the sea are taken away. However, let no one strive or reprove another, for your people are like those striving with a priest. And you shall stumble in the day, and the prophet shall also stumble with you in the night. And I shall make your mother perish. My people have perished for a lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I reject you from being priest for me. Since you have forgotten the Torah of your Elohim, I also forget your children. Knowledge. Discipline. So the beginning of discipline. And in order to live a disciplined life, we need knowledge. This is not talking about, going back to chapter 12 of Mashali, it's not talking about loving the rod. It's not talking about loving the whip. It's not Yahuah's intent nor his desire to continue to beat his people daily in and out. That's what the wicked does. That's what the oppressor does. That's what the slave master does. Yahuah is not our slave master. And so we have a responsibility to seek out knowledge, because knowledge leads to a disciplined life. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. You can't say you love discipline but don't love knowledge. Knowledge leads to a disciplined life. It's not talking about the whip. The whip is not what makes a person disciplined. An undisciplined person cannot be changed by a whip. Knowledge is what changes him. But he who hates reproof is stupid. Knowledge also reproves. Knowledge also reproves. Now, when you have to be chastised because of your folly, because of your foolishness, a wise person will also appreciate the chastisement. A wise person will appreciate a proper chastisement. Do not think that, when they used to really whip our people on a grand scale, they still whip us today, but when they used to do it on a grand scale, that's where, when we were on the full-fledged plantation, we're still on the plantation, but it's a little bit veiled. But when we were on the full-fledged plantation, and the slave master would whip our people, the slave master expected for the one that was just tortured to be appreciative of the torture. You see. But there is a way to chastise and there is a way not to chastise. There is a way to chastise that is torture. It is no longer chastisement but torture. And even as we correct our children, as we deal with our children, we have to recognize that in disciplining them, it can, if we're not careful, it can quickly go from being constructive to being destructive. As we chastise them, we got to make sure that what we're doing is not torturing, but rather leading them back to knowledge. Verse 2 says, the good obtains favor from Yahuah. The upright man obtains favor from Yahuah, but the man of wicked devices he declares wrong. The upright man obtains favor from Yahuah, but the man of wicked devices he declares wrong. Family, another reminder that as people of Yahuah, though we are a people still living in captivity, if we will seek to walk according to the ways of Yahuah and according to the word of Yahuah, it does not matter where you are. If you would seek to walk according to the word of Yahuah and the ways of Yahuah, if you would seek out the knowledge of Yahuah, then Yahuah will bring favor upon you, even while in captivity. You see, Yahuah go on to tell us that his favor, the favor of Yahuah will bring us before great men. The favor of Yahuah will cause even those who hate us to be at peace with us. So the upright man obtains favor from Yahuah, even in captivity. The upright man obtains favor from Yahuah, but the man of wicked devices, he declares wrong. A man is not established by wrongness. A man is not established. A man is not established by wrongness. The word established, think about being established, means being rooted. The wicked is not rooted. The wicked are surface dwellers. They might spring up and they might look nice and green. They might look very promising, but they are short-lived. The wicked are surface dwellers. In the book of Tehillim, in the book of Psalms, chapter 1, we read, it says, happy is the man who walks not in the counsel of the disobedient, nor sits in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the Torah of Yahuah, and in his Torah he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth its fruit in its season. Its leaves also does not wither, and whatsoever he does prospers. The wicked are not so, but are like a chaff that the wind drives away. Therefore, the disobedient shall not stand in the judgment of the righteous, nor transgressors in the assembly of the set apart ones. So a man is not established by wrongness. You are not rooted by your wrongness. So fret not yourself because of the one who does evil. Fret not yourself because of the wicked who seem to be flourishing today, because his day does come when he will have to give an account for his wrongness, for his wickedness, and great will be his fall. A man is not established by wrongness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. The root of the set apart shall not be moved. A capable wife, verse 4, is the crown of her husband, but one causing shame is like rottenness in his bones. We're here to hold each other accountable, right? As man and woman, as husband and wife, we are to hold each other accountable. Now, verse 4 goes back to verse 1. When we talk about discipline, we talk about correction also. When you are without knowledge, you need to be corrected. And when you are corrected, you live a life of discipline. You are disciplined. And the person that is disciplined cannot be easily overthrown. A person that is truly disciplined, walking in knowledge, cannot be overthrown. Now, in the same way, it says a capable wife is the crown of her husband, but one causing shame is like rottenness in his bone. Discipline. It goes back to discipline. A capable wife. What makes a wife capable? What makes a husband capable? The fact that they live a disciplined life. Capable. A capable wife. That's a matter of translation. What makes one a good wife, a good husband? a right wife, a right husband, a pleasing wife, a pleasing husband, an upright wife, an upright husband. What makes one a wife to be proud of, a husband to be proud of? Well, one, he or she seeks out knowledge and walks in knowledge, is humble, can be corrected, can be reasoned with, is willing to change where change is necessary, learn and unlearn, to love your spouse enough to do what it takes to make it work. Because at the end of the day, marriage is about two people coming together. And especially growing up in this captivity and in this bondage, it's about two people coming together with a bunch of baggage. Okay? But you're coming together and now you got to be one flesh. Two people coming together become one flesh. But you're coming from a background where you might have grew up under certain beliefs and circumstances. Not growing up in the ways of Yahuah, but being influenced by all kinds of mess and all kinds of mindset and thought processes. And then comes somebody else growing up in his own little thing with his mindset and processes different from yours. And what it's going to take some give and take. It's going to take true love and commitment. It's going to take it's going to take a decision to love, because love is a decision. It's a choice. Don't just happen. Because you might fall into lust. You might fall into what they call infatuation, but you don't fall into love. You might fall into lust, you might fall into infatuation, but you don't fall into lust. Love is always a choice. You've got to make a choice that you're going to love somebody, because it doesn't matter how great the person is when you met them. The very fact that you had two different upbringing, and you might have had even more than two upbringing depending on your life situation. You might have gone through several changes during your years of growing up. You may have encountered many different things. And the fact that you have so much baggage, the fact that we have so much baggage, then when we seek to come together, all of that baggage plays a part. Because you begin to take stuff out of the suitcase that you don't even remember was in the suitcase. And as you begin to unpack, what you lay on the bed might be offensive to the other person. And that's where the other person have got to make a decision that, okay, you know what? That's not what I was expecting to come out of that suitcase, but I love her, I love him, and so I'm going to make a decision that we're going to work past this. We're going to work, not past it, we're going to work through this. Let me correct that. Not past it. You cannot work past issues. You've got to work through the issues. If you think you're going to work past the issues, that is simply to ignore the issue, and any issue that goes ignored, it's going to come back to haunt you. Unresolved issues does not just disappear. You see? It's like owing somebody some money. It's like owing somebody some money. It's like owing a creditor. And you figure, you owe a credit card bill, and you figure, well, you know what? I'm not going to pay them, but then I'm just going to pretend as if it don't exist. Oh, no, wait. It's like owing the U.S. government some, what you call it? Student loan. It's like owing the government a student loan or owing taxes. And you figure, oh, well, I'm just going to pretend as if it's not there. I'm going to pretend as if I never owed them. I never borrowed no money. And you know what's going to happen? If you keep ignoring it, one of these days you're going to go to your bank account and you're going to realize that it has been frozen. And soon to follow, you might come home and find that your house has been boarded up shut. And they tell you can't come in, or they come in and say what they're going to take out your house. So simply ignoring the issue does not cause the issue to go away. Yep, pretty soon you'll lose all your assets. And that's what happens in marriages. If we ignore the issues, eventually we're going to lose all our assets. You cannot work past the issues. We've got to work through the issues. Now, in order to work through the issues, it means then that we're going to have to be approachable. We're going to have to be humble. We're going to have to be willing to admit and acknowledge that I have some issues. And being willing to work through them. Not to pretend as if, well, I don't have no issues. She does, but I don't. You see? The fact of the matter is we've got to be willing to, number one, realize that we come from two different settings, two different backgrounds. That we come with different ways of thinking because we did not grow up in the way. We come with different ways of thinking. And so what we've got to work on doing now is not to get on one person's way of thinking. What we need to find truth. Let truth be our guide. We can't decide that I'm going to take this your way of thinking or you're going to take my way of thinking. We've got to let truth be the mediator. Let truth be the mediator. That's what's got to happen. Truth has to become the mediator. Okay? So, it says in verse 4, a capable wife is the crown of her husband, a capable wife. What else makes a wife capable or even a husband? She is responsible, he's responsible. She's not a loudmouth, not a brawler. He's not a loudmouth nor a brawler. She is responsible when it comes to the way she raised the children. He's responsible when it comes to the way he raises the children. What he says to the children, what she says to the children. The way they relate to situations and people. A capable wife, a capable husband. Because you see, it's not just the wife that has to be capable. The husband needs to be capable also. Marriage also is not about just me and you. And that's quite evident, or should be. Marriage is not just about me and you. You have a family. But also, marriage is not just about your individual family. It was never intended to be that way. Marriage is about a nation. Really. The institution of marriage from a scriptural perspective is about the preservation of a nation. And so when we think as marriage partners, we think together not just about our individual families, but we think about the nation also. As a husband and wife, me and my wife, we have to feel for our nation. We got to feel for our people. If I only feel for my people, for our people, and my wife don't feel for our people, it makes it more difficult for me to do what I need to do in the nation. If she only feels for our people, and I could care less about the people, I'm only thinking about my own house, makes it more difficult for her to do what she needs to do in the nation. So a key part of marriage is being less self-centered and more national minded. But they have a saying that goes, and my grandmom used to say it a lot, you got to learn to dance a yard before you can dance abroad. So Yahuah give us marriage as practice. It begins in the house. Begins with the man and the woman. And then we learn to relate to each other, and then we have to bring the children into it, and it works outward, you know. Verse 5 says, the thoughts of the righteous are right ruling. The thoughts of the righteous are right ruling. The counsels of the wrong are deceit. The thoughts of the righteous, the thoughts of the upright are right ruling. The counsels of the wrong are deceit. So an upright person is always concerned with justice. An upright person cannot ignore injustice. You hear that? An upright person is always concerned with justice. An upright person cannot ignore injustice. No upright person can ignore injustice. The only person, there is not an innocent person who ignores injustice. Anyone who ignores injustice is just as much as guilty of the injustice as the one carrying out the injustice. So one cannot claim to be upright, but while at the same time ignore the injustice. You cannot claim to be right. You cannot claim to be upright. You cannot claim to be loving. You cannot claim to be caring, but yet see injustice and is not affected and affected by it. The thoughts of the righteous, the thoughts of the upright are right ruling. An upright person believes in right ruling. Believe that right ruling should be upheld, that right ruling, that justice and not injustice should stand. But what does the wrong do? The counsel of the wrong, the counsels of the wrong are deceit. So you know what the wrong one does? Spend his day plotting deceit. The wrong spends his day plotting on how to get over. The wrong is very selfish and self-centered. So the upright person is always concerned with his environment. Not just self, but with his environment. The wrong person sits back, being selfish and conceited, The only thing he sits back and plot, is deceit, a way of advancing self. The words of the wrong, verse 6, are lie in wait for blood. That's what the wicked says. Let's lie in wait for blood. But the mouth of the straight delivers them. The mouth of the upright delivers them. You see, when you're not guilty of anything, then you have nothing to try to hide. When you're not guilty of anything, then you have no issue speaking. But when you have something to hide, microphone is unmuted there, family. Trying to find it. Bear with me just for a second. Let me see if I can locate it. Okay, it might be settled here. Okay. So the words of the wrong are lying in wait for blood, but the mouth of the straight delivers them. You have nothing to hide. You ain't got to worry about being convicted by your own words. The wrong are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stands. The wrong are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stands. The wrong are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stand. Now, I'm going to use something here that I find interesting as contrast. Verse 6, the words of the wrong, verse 7, the wrong are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stands. And I'm going to just use something as an example here, something that we're living through right now. I find something very interesting happening. I watch television and I see it as I go about from day to day. I heard some people on TV talking about their support of a certain political candidate. I heard them saying on TV that this candidate, who because of his action over the years and his words even recently, strongly shows him to be a person with strong racial biases. Okay? And I hear individuals on television who support him say that this person have a lot of support, but people are afraid to come out and say that they're in support of him because of the way they might be perceived. What they're saying is that if they say that they support him, they don't want to be perceived as being a racist and so on. So therefore, they're just quietly supporting. I've heard other people say that they're just keeping quiet because they don't want to be pounced upon because things have changed in America. In other words, what they're saying is that there was a time when people who feel the way we feel, that we were the majority, we were in control, and so it was nothing for us to meet some people at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I think that's the name of it. What's that, Alabama or Mississippi? Let me go to the board. I need some help. That in Alabama or Mississippi, family? Alabama. So there was a time when people who feel that way, it was no thing for them to meet a group of people marching over a bridge, to meet them with dogs and fire hoses and rocks and proudly spew hatred and launch a vicious attack. Those were the good old days. There was no issue with them even if they weren't involved in the actual attack. For you to encounter them at some little corner store or on the bus or in some other place and them brag about their feelings. But what's happening today is because now it's only 40-something% of the nation that feel that way, 45%, which still represents millions and millions of people. But because it's now only 45% rather than probably some 80%, they're taking more of a silent approach because they're no longer the majority in that sense. You see. So now they're more cautious as to what they will say. Yes. And the only reason why they're not the majority, again, is because America have a lot of people from different places. That's why it's only 45%. If you get rid of, if you should put just all European Caucasians back in the mix, then the percentage would be higher. But now you have people from all different walks of life and places. And so that's why the percentage now is only at a 45% rate. So now they're taking a more, but you see what's happening. The reason why I bring this up is to say that it's interesting how things change. You see, there comes a time when even though the wicked might have seemed like they are the majority, and even when it seemed like the wicked will always be forever, there comes a time when the wicked diminishes. There comes a time when the wicked fades. And there comes a time when the wicked will be no more. I'm just using that as an example. You see, there comes a time when the wicked will be no more. So, if you look just at American history, there was a time when that kind of sentiment was prevalent among the majority. Today, it's not the majority who holds the sentiment. Now it's the minority. Now, of course, many things go into that. But the bottom line is, things do change. Yep, we might not be as much as a minority as they say. When you think about that, black people have always been called a minority. But think about it. Think about the world. There are more black people on the earth, more black nations on the earth than white nations. But yet, blacks have always been the minority. That's just the rhetoric. That's the propaganda. You see? And that's just the way it's always been. But it's not fact. It's not true. But that's what they've always said. You see? Yes, indeed. So it's a propaganda, it's a gimmick used to keep us thinking little, thinking small. We've been told a lot of things about ourselves to keep us thinking that way. You see. Yep, so even though we are the majority throughout the earth, we have been made to think we are the minority. But things do change. That's my point. Things do change. The way of the wicked will not always be. And that's according to Yahuah's word. So the wrong are overthrown. Eventually they will be overthrown and are no more. But the house of the righteous stands. And when I talk about the wrong, please understand that I'm not saying that, and because I use examples of racial realities. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that there's going to come a day when all white people will be wiped out because all white people are wicked. That's not what I'm saying. Not at all what I'm saying. Okay? I believe that among all peoples of the earth, there are people who will obey and there are people who will disobey. Among all peoples of the earth, there are people who will, in the end, who will be upright, and there are people who will be wicked. People who are upright and people who are wicked. You see. But I must say that when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, when it comes down to the truth and the absolute truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, what you're going to find is that it's only a minority, a small minority of whites who will stand with the truth. When it comes down to the truth, the whole truth, and absolutely nothing but the truth, there's only a very small minority that will stand with the truth. A very small minority of whites that will stand with the truth. And that is true even among black people also. It's not a racist statement, it's not a racial statement, it's just a factual statement. Even among the nation of Yashar'al, it is only a remnant that will stand with the truth. Because from a scriptural perspective, Yashar'al, the nation of Yashar'al, is the remnant of the earth. And Yahuah says only a remnant of the remnant will be redeemed. So if only a remnant of the remnant will be redeemed, can you imagine the number of the wicked? The number from the wicked that will be redeemed? A very small number. Verse 8 says, a man is praised according to his wisdom, but the perverted of heart becomes despised. A man is praised according to his wisdom, but the perverted of heart becomes despised. Notice it says the perverted becomes despised. Because you see, the perverted of heart, the person who is perverse in their heart, they will start out popular. There'll be a point where they have the crowd going. There'll be a point where they have people believing them. There'll be a point where they have the crowd behind them. But in time, they will be exposed for who they are. And the one who is wise, who was overlooked, mocked, rejected, that one will be elevated. You see? That one will be elevated above his enemies. Better to be lightly esteemed and have a servant than the highly esteemed who lacks bread. That's another thing. You know, you have a lot of people and you meet them on the street. They so blingy, you might think they have something. And then you might encounter somebody who They're just normal. You would be surprised to know what they have. So the one who have is the one who looks least, who is least suspected of having. But those who don't have spend all that they have trying to seem as if they have. Yahuah says, better to be lightly esteemed and have a servant. Better to be not known and have a servant than to be highly esteemed, but yet you're hungry. Quite popular, but yet you have nothing. I was watching this show one time, 48 hours or something. I was watching one of those shows where it shows like, them trying to solve a murder. There was this guy living in Chicago. Young black lawyer it was. It was quite flashy. He drove a Rolls Royce, a new Rolls Royce, a brand new Rolls Royce. And he would go around and he would have all these affairs with all these women, using his appearance. He wore expensive shoes, drove this expensive car. But then this one girl that he met, and she went to his apartment, and he lived in a very expensive apartment building. She went and she realized that even though he drove this really expensive car, lived in this very expensive apartment building, he had no furniture in his apartment, none. Just a mattress on the floor. That's all he had. And then, as it turned out, he was on the verge of being evicted. The car really wasn't his. And everything that he did, whatever money he did make, he put it into buying expensive clothes because he wanted to look a certain way. But yet he really had nothing. And there are a lot of people out there like that. Spend their time trying to impress other people. And in the end, have nothing at all. You see? That's foolish. That's not wise. A lot of our people are guilty of that. Spend our time trying to impress people instead of building a foundation for your family and for your people. Instead of making the necessary sacrifices to ensure that our children remain focused and have a better future, have a chance. A lot of our people spend the little that they do have trying to look like they have something. And in reality, they have nothing. Yahuah says, better to be lightly esteemed and have a servant than to be highly esteemed but lack bread. You see? Now, of course, in the church, they tell you got to play the part. Or what they say, they have a saying in church. You got to fake it till you make it. That's what they say in church. That's nonsense. Okay? It's garbage. Ain't no faking it till you make it. That's not wisdom. That's not wise. Manage what you have wisely. Build on it slowly. Don't spend what you ain't got trying to look like you have something. You see? Yeah. Be real and stop faking it. You see? yeah. Fake it till you figure out you're naked. Yeah, exactly what happens. You see, but that's what they tell us in church. We got to fake it till we make it. No, that's not wise counsel, family. And that's what continued to destroy our people. You see? running around trying to look like something they are that they're not. Instead of us humbling ourselves. You see? We're making $1, but we're living like we're making $1.50. That makes no sense. What we've got to do as a people, if we're going to get better as a people, we've got to live below our means. If you begin to live below your means, you will not always be in that place, that very low place that you've always been. But it takes sacrifice. It takes wise choices. But if you continue to live above your means, then you can only go lower and lower. A man is praised according to his wisdom, but the perverted of heart becomes despised. That's verse 8. Verse 9 says, better to be lightly esteemed and have a servant than to be highly esteemed who lacks bread. Verse 10 says, the righteous regards the life of his beast, but the compassion of the wrong is cruelty. A righteous man. So now we're talking about animals, family. The righteous regards the life of his beast. An upright man regards the life of his beast. The righteous regards the life of his beast, but the compassion of the wrong is cruelty. You know, you can tell a whole lot about a person even by the way they treat an animal. You can tell a whole lot about a person even by the way they treat an animal. And then you have people who treat animals better than they treat human beings. Both are wrong and both are wicked. We shouldn't abuse animals. And we shouldn't abuse humans. You have a whole society. You have a whole nation that treat animals better than they treat human beings. Today you can find a whole lot of people. I seen an incident one time in the news where some man in Florida, what he did was wicked. He took a cat and smashed the cat on the asphalt. Smashed the cat on the asphalt, banged it on the asphalt and killed it. And they gave him, if I recall correctly, his sentence was 20 years or something like that. His sentence was ridiculous for killing the cat the way that he did. And what he did was wicked. Okay? What he did was absolutely wicked. That was wicked. To take an animal and to smash it like that. That was wicked. Yeah. Michael Vick was fighting dogs and you know what? As bad as they did Michael Vick, he got off light compared to this guy in Florida, this poor guy, and he didn't have no money. He didn't have the kind of money that Michael Vick had to defend himself. This guy didn't have no money. They gave him like 20 years for killing the cat. Now I see people kill people and serve 5 years, 9 years. I saw an instance where somebody killed somebody. It was just in the news. I went online the other day. This woman killed somebody. Oh, she was texting. She was a school teacher. She was driving her car and she was texting. And have a school bus driver. He put his coffee on, got up as he did in the morning, put his coffee on, and walked out of his house to walk across the street to get a newspaper out of wherever the guy put the newspaper. And as he was going across the street, the school teacher driving down the road texting hit him and killed him. Now, they recommended a sentence of 20 years or something. The judge gave her 4 days in jail and a 30-year suspended no, they recommended 30 years, the prosecutor. The judge gave her a 20-year suspended sentence and 4 days in jail. Now, the 20-year suspended sentence, what that means is that she has a probationary period. And as long as she don't do anything to mess up, then she's fine. She only spends 4 days in jail. If she messes up, then she got to spend 20 years and could be eligible for parole after a while. But she got 4 days for doing something that is, for some people, if you're a certain class and you hit somebody while texting and driving, you're gonna get a life sentence. Okay. Yeah.
I got one for you. The guy who got 20 years for shooting that.
Oh, here's the bigger one.
But he got 20 years for doing it.
Yeah.
How many years would he have gotten for shooting him?
Yeah. Here's the other one. So George Zimmerman, a murderer, murdered Trayvon Martin and should have been in jail himself. Somebody just shot at him. Didn't shoot him now. Here's somebody that thought the murderer should be dead and shot at him. Didn't shoot him. And he got 20 years. 20 years. Because he shot at somebody that the system praised for doing what the system wants done.
Now, here the same
You
thing.
see?
The reason that
Yes.
Zimmerman got off was he felt threatened by Trayvon Martin. Now, and that's why he shot him. Now, I don't know who the person is that shot at him, but I'm sure they felt threatened by someone who's already been known to murder somebody.
Yeah, Aki Franklin said it was a road rage situation. But I find it interesting that here it is that you have a guy that murdered somebody, got no years. And here's somebody that shot at somebody that got 20 years. Not only that, family, not only that, there was a situation in Florida with that girl, I forget her name. She fired a warning shot because her boyfriend, who was known for putting his hands on her, she fired a warning shot in the ceiling of her house. And they gave her 21 years. They gave her 21 years. And she was trying to use the same defense as George Zimmerman, the Florida Stand Your Ground law. They gave her 21 years. And you know the only reason why they turned back that sentence was because of George Zimmerman. Because she was serving 21 years. But people began to make a big deal about it when George Zimmerman was able to walk away with the same defense. She was already prosecuted and locked up serving time. And if it wasn't because people highlighted the hypocrisy, they wouldn't have decided to let her out with strings attached. You see. Yup. Not only that, Zimmerman, as it was just pointed out, had over $200,000 donated for his legal fees. Not only that, the gun that he used to murder the kid was auctioned for over $100,000. Now who would want to, who think of a gun so valuable that killed somebody? The gun was auctioned for over $100,000. $150-something thousand, if I recall correctly. A $500 gun. But because it was used to kill a black kid, all of a sudden it's worth $150,000. Yes, he did. He also painted a picture of Trayvon Martin that got auctioned.
Spangs are from Caucasian minister.
You see. But that's the hypocrisy. That's the kind of hypocrisy that we see. Okay? That's the kind of that's the
Painted a picture that got off.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's the kind of hypocrisy that we
His
see.
parents just sued him.
Now, so verse 10 says, the righteous regards the life of his beast, but the compassion of the wrong is cruelty. Now, we can look at America's history and we can see that they didn't regard beasts and they certainly didn't regard people. And again, they treated even though they didn't regard the beast, they ran them into the ground, they still treated the beast better than they treated our people. He who tills his land is satisfied with bread, but he who pursues vanities is lacking heart. You hear that now? Verse 11. He who tills his land is satisfied with bread, but he who pursues vanities is lacking heart. Listen, family, it's better to go out there and try to till your ground and think that and try to pursue the lottery. You see? In other words, instead of giving them $10 a week, $20 a week, $5 a week, or whatever a week, start saving that and see how much it adds up to. She was. Seeing how why? Seeing how you can use that to in other words, how you can invest it rather than pursuing what might turn out to be a vain pursuit, empty pursuit. He who tills his land is satisfied with bread, but he who pursues vanities is lacking heart. You know, it's something when you work for a thing, you appreciate it more. If you have land where you can plant and then to reap the harvest from your labor, it is quite satisfying. He who tills his land is satisfied with bread, but he who pursues vanities is lacking heart. When it says lacking heart, it's really a reference to, and this is not the case, I'm not saying that it's the case for everybody who plays the lottery. But you do have a lot of people out there who, instead of figuring out a way how to invest and to multiply the little that they have little by little, I know people, family, that would spend $500. I don't know where they were getting this money from, but they would spend $500, $300, and $500 a week playing the lottery in a poor community. I know people that did that. I don't know where they got the money from. Maybe everything they worked for, they were using to play the lottery. Verse 12 says, the wrong shall covet the catch of evildoers. The wrong shall covet the catch of evildoers, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. So, family, you see, if you look at the wicked and see them prospering and you covet the wicked, it's because you yourself are wicked also. You yourself are wrong also. The wrong shall covet the catch of the evildoers. We don't look at the wicked, see their prosperity, and catch feelings over it, because we know that their prosperity is actually the fruit of wickedness. So we don't get upset over them prospering, because we know that that prosperity is not going to last, because it is not established. It sprouts out of evil. So we don't covet them. for their evil fruits, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. The wrong shall covet the catch of evildoers, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. So we don't see them bringing in their fish, their big dirty fishes, and then get jealous because we know it's unclean. You see? In the transgression of the lips is an evil sneer, but the righteous gets out of distress. In the transgression of the lips is an evil sneer, but the righteous gets out of distress. In the transgression of the lips is an evil sneer. When the lips transgress, it tears people down, it sneers. But the righteous gets out of distress. From the fruit of his mouth one is filled with good, and the work of a man's hands is given back to him. From the fruit of his mouth one is filled with good, and the work of a man's hands is given back to him. Now, talking about from the fruits of the lips. From the fruits of his mouth one is filled with good. So family, there is a way for us to use our lips, our tongue, our words that is right when it comes to speaking well and good concerning ourselves, right? Declaring good concerning ourselves. There is a right way of speaking, and then there is a, what you would call it, a silly way of believing. Because you see, in Christianity they have something called name it and claim it. Yahuah is not telling you to name it and claim it. But you can speak good concerning yourself. You can declare good concerning yourself, because that you declare, that you speak, you will find yourself acting in. You speak wrong, you'll act in wrong. You speak right, you will act in right. And if you speak, what do they call that now? You speak, in Christianity, I used to see people, they talk about they're millionaires and they're this and they're that. And then they go out, they speak, them being millionaires and them being this and them being that. And then they go out to make it happen. But what they do in making it happen is they become slaves. You see? They become slaves where they shouldn't be slaves. They become burdened where they shouldn't be burdened, because they're making these declarations, unrealistic declarations, and now they're making it happen. The works of the flesh. There is a right way of speaking, and then there's a wrong way of speaking. There's a right way of confessing, declaring, and there's a wrong way of declaring. You see. So verse 14, from the fruit of his mouth one is filled with good, and the work of a man's hands is given back to him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who listens to advice is wise. So a fool, you can't tell a fool anything. A fool believes that his way is the right way no matter what. But he who listens to advice is wise. A wise person will listen to advice. And if changes need to be made, they will make the changes. You see. A fool's wrath is known at once, but a clever one covers shame. A foolish person, when they get angry, they lash out. They don't pause, they don't think, they just act. That's a fool. You see? That's a fool. A fool's wrath is known at once. He gets mad and you know it immediately. But a clever one covers shame. He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness, deceit. A false witness declares deceit. He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness declares deceit. Rash speaking, being too quick to speak, and being too harsh with your words, is like piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is healing. Person who is too quick to speak, too brash with their words, is like the piercings of a sword. Yes, words hurt, but the tongue of the wise is healing. A wise person uses their tongue to bring healing, while the foolish person, the wicked person, only tears down and brings destruction. The lip of truth is established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who plot evil, but counselors of peace have joy. Deceit is in the heart of those who plot evil, but counselors of peace have joy. I'm going to stop here at verse 20 for right now, family, and we're going to prepare to take a break. And then when we come back, we will finish here in chapter 12 of Mashali, and probably do a little bit of chapter 13, and then we're gonna end for the day. But we're gonna stop here for now, and then we're gonna prepare to take a break. Before we go to break, I just wanna check to see if there are any comments, anything that anyone have that you would like to add or point out to anything that we just covered, or if there are any questions before we go to break. And then if not, then we're gonna take a break and then come back in a half an hour. Oh, it's a little cool there, Aki, today. Yeah, it's a little cool here also. It's been hot. It's been in the 80s this week. But now it's cooling back down again. Yes, it's cooling back down again. I see your flag, Aki. Yeah, Derek. Please go ahead, Aki.
Once again, Shabbat Shalom, family. Aki, I wanted to ask in relation to wisdom and the deceitful. How it might not be an easy answer, but how do the Confederate of Nations against Yasharal, play into our own disobedience, reluctance, stiff-neckedness? I know a part of that is due to the curse, due to the curses, but I also know that the Confederate, that those nations that were Confederate, went through the process of hiding that from us and putting us through how should I say it, the conditions of the curse. I guess they're the operatives, the agents who are carrying Yahuah's curse out on us. And I just wanted to ask, how do the Confederate of those nations, the ones who came together and say, let us tear them apart, that the name of Yahshua be no more in remembrance. I don't know if I'm putting that together correctly or formulating it correctly. And I'm just hoping that you can see the meaning of what I'm trying to ask. I'll release the mic now.
Okay, yes. I think I get the question, and I'm gonna read from. Let's see. I'm trying to find the text here again. It's Tahalim. You made reference to, I believe, Tahalim, Psalms chapter 81 or 80. Let me find it here very quickly. Give me just a second. I wanted to read the text before I responded. I'm trying to remember exactly where it's at. Let me just see. 80. What is it? 80. It might be 88. I forget exactly. No, it's not. It must be 81. Maybe I'm looking too Not paying enough attention here. Give me just a second. Okay. Okay. That's not what I'm looking for. I don't remember exactly where it's at right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and respond. Yeah. So in part, their confederacy against us is in part as a result of the curse. But yeah, okay, it's in part as a result of the curse. But the fact of the matter is that you could say that while, okay, let me put it this way. I was using this example with the kids earlier. Imagine walking by a house every day in order to get to your house, and there is somebody at one of these yards where you got to walk past to get to your house. So there's somebody with these pit bulls or some kind of vicious. They have some vicious dogs in the yard, but you're able to walk by
Aki?
because yes. Go ahead, Aki.
It's 83-4.
80. Okay, Tuda. Let me go.
Brother Franklin found it.
Okay.
I don't want to take credit.
Okay, Tuda Rabba. Yes, I couldn't remember. Okay. Yes. Okay, so they have said, "Come and let us wipe them out as a nation, and let the name of Yasharal be remembered no more. For they have conspired together with one heart. They have made a contract against you." Okay? Now, that's exactly it. So, going back to, so I'm going to use now the example, right? You think of it as this. You're walking past, you got to get to your house on a daily basis, but there's this one yard where, they have these dogs in the yard, and these dogs are vicious. But you've been able to get by because there's a fence that keeps the dogs separated from you, keeps them contained, right? There is this fence. And so you're able to walk past, even though they're barking and they're snarling and they really want to get at you, you're able to safely go by there every day. But then, so these dogs, this is where they're at, and their intent toward you have always been to destroy you, to get a hold of you. But there is a fence that keeps them from getting to you. Okay? Now, imagine that yard as being the nations. Wow. Let me just a second, family. This baby just rolled down the step. Let me see. Come here, Pop. Okay. So, yeah, so imagine, if you would, that yard, family, that yard being the nations that have always surrounded Yasharal. Because the fact of the matter is that that yard being the territory of the nations that surround Yasharal, the dogs in the yard representing the people of those nations. Okay? The fact of the matter is that the nations, there's no nation on the face of the earth that have ever not wanted to destroy the people of Yahuah. They have always hated the people of Yahuah. Okay? So now the people, those dogs representing the people of those nations, but the fence representing Yahuah. And so with Yahuah being our fence, we have been able to walk past these people. As long as we're living in obedience, we have been able to walk past them, even though it's always been their intent to destroy us. We have been able to go by and get back and forth without being harmed. But what happened to us was that we began to rebel against our fence. We began to rebel against the one that stands in between our destroyer and us. And we began to tell him that we don't want you to be our fence. We don't want you to be our defense. And so what he did was he simply got out the way. And when he got out the way, those dogs that have always wanted to get at us, they wasted no time in pouncing on us. And so you can look at the curses as really the curses that we experience. It's not that Yahuah had to put wickedness in the heart of those who have oppressed us. The wickedness, their wickedness and their hatred have always been there for us. But the only thing that keeps them away from us, the only thing that have kept them from us is the fact that Yahuah is present. That Yahuah has been a fence between us and them. And so the curses, sometimes the curses are viewed as, well, we disobeyed, so Yahuah, it can be viewed as if, we disobeyed, so Yahuah put wickedness in the heart of these people to do what they do to us. When the reality is the wickedness have always been there. It's just that Yahuah now steps aside, and now we no longer have him as a fence between us and them, and so they just let loose. You see, and they have free reign to do what they've always wanted to do to us. So the sufferings that we go through, yes, it's as a result of the curses, but the wickedness that we experience at the hand of the wicked is not that Yahuah just after we disobeyed, he put that wickedness in their heart. The wickedness have always been there. They've been there. They've always desired to get at us. They've always desired to destroy us. They've always been conspiring against us. But now that the fence is not there, Yahuah being our fence, they now have the ability to come at us and to do the things they have always desired to do against us. Let me know, Aki, if that answered your question, or if I need to clarify some more. So let me know, Aki, Derek.
Brother, thank you very much. I came into the thought of he always used other nations to pass his judgment on Yasharah. I'm thinking now with the example that you made with the yard and the fence, it really put it into perspective where I could understand it better. And with the wickedness already being there in their hearts, it's not that they're doing anything extra. They are operating exactly as they're supposed to operate. They are innately wicked. Thank you, Aki Franklin. Yeah, they are innately wicked. And that was really what I was trying to get at to find out. So, Tuda Aki.
Indeed, praise Yahuah. All right. Aki Keith, I see your flag, Aki. Please go ahead.
Shalom, Aki.
Shalom to you, Aki.
This is very simple. It's something we was talking about last week. We was talking about judging the wicked. And so basically we're almost on the same frame here. Okay, so what's the difference of judging the wicked and protesting what the wicked is doing to us?
Yes. Okay, great question. Great question. All right, so you see, the purpose of judgment serves two purposes. When we judge among ourselves, the purpose of judgment, even though some people might have different motives when they judge, but judgment from true judgment, the purpose of true judgment, so judgment have two purposes. There is one judgment to destruction, and then there is a judgment to restoration. Okay? Now, think about people who judge people with motives, certain motives, not for good, but for their destruction. So some people, they judge. Okay, think about it from the perspective of the assembly. Say in this body we have an assembly. It's us as an assembly, and somebody in the assembly sees me doing wrong, and they bring judgment, but their intent on bringing judgment is not so that I would become right, that I would be made right and restored. Right? So, one purpose for judgment is for restoration. Okay? Is for us to be restored. So, a brother comes to me, a sister comes to me, and said, Aki, I noticed this, and it's against the word of Yahuah. And so they bring it to my attention, and if their motive is right, they're bringing it to me in a way that I would repent and turn away and be made right again. But if they're for my destruction, then yes, if they're for my destruction, their approach is going to be very different, right? So when it comes to judgment, Yahuah have an expectation for us to judge among each other for the purpose of restoration. All right? You have an expectation for us to judge. Give me a second, family. He has an expectation for us to judge among ourselves, among each other, for the purpose of restoration. Now, when so judgment is either going to be for restoration or it's going to be for destruction. Now, there is something else in between. Okay? There is something else in between. When we shine a light on evil, that's different from judgment. That's speaking. That's speaking against evil. The scriptures tells us, I believe we read it, yes, making someone aware. That's not judgment either for restoration or for destruction. But that's making people aware of the evil. That's like if you're sending, okay, let's say you're in your house and your kids are in the house, and all of a sudden you became aware that there's a snake in the corner. And so what you do is you say to the kids, listen, there's a snake in that corner, don't go over there. What you've done is you have warned them of the evil, right? You have warned them of the presence of evil. You have made them aware of the presence of evil. And so when we highlight the wickedness of the wicked, Yahuah tell us that we are to do that. That's not judgment. It's making people aware. We speak to the evil.
Ezekiel 3 verses 16. That right there speaks that.
Okay, I'm going to read. My wife was just telling me to read from Ezekiel, Yakazako chapter 3, verse 6, beginning in verse 16. It says, after the 7 days had passed, Yahuah spoke to me. Mortal man, he said, I am making you a lookout for the nation of Yasharal. See, Yahuah puts watchmen among his people. And the purpose of the watchmen is to warn the people of the evil ones, the schemes of the evil ones, you see. So after the 7 days had passed, Yahuah spoke to me. Mortal man, he said, I am making you a lookout for the nation of Yasharal. You will pass on to them the warnings I give you. If I announce that someone evil is going to die, you do not warn him to change his ways so that he can save his life. He will die still a sinner, but I will hold you responsible for his death. Oh, and you do not warn him. So if I announce that someone is going to die because of his wickedness, and you do not warn him to change his ways, he will die still a sinner, but I will hold you responsible for his death. If you do not warn an evil man, and he doesn't stop transgressing, he will die still a sinner, and your life will be spared. Let me read that again. If I announce that someone evil is going to die, but you do not warn him to change his ways so that he can save his life, he will die. still a sinner. But I will hold you responsible for his death. If you do warn an evil man and he doesn't stop sinning, he will die still a sinner, but your life will be spared. If someone truly good starts doing evil and I put him in a dangerous situation, he will die if you do not warn him. He will die because of his sins. I will not remember the good he did, and I will hold you responsible for his death. If you do warn a good man not to sin, and he listens to you and doesn't sin, he will stay alive, and your life will also be spared. Okay? Now, this is Yahuah. This is Yahuah talking to his people and the responsibility that we have toward one another. But there is something else also true too about anyone who does evil. Yahuah leaves them no excuse, because even when they do evil to our people and to anyone, Yahuah always sends someone to bear witness against them and their evil. And so in the day of his judgment, so to declare and to warn is not the same as judgment, you see. So a watchman sees the danger and he calls out, you see.
If I can elaborate on 20, I don't think elaborate like I know all that, but on verse 20 it says, if someone truly good starts to do evil, and I put him in a dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
To me, what that said right there, you're doing evil and you are put in a dangerous situation. Sometimes that's for us to turn around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
caution,
Mm-hmm.
turn around. The path that you're beginning to go down is a dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that part right there, that's what it says. Okay, and it says he will die if you do not warn him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so sometimes you had the ruach in you. Well, if you're doing evil,
Mm-hmm.
he may sin a caution.
Mm-hmm.
And you should, have discernment and say, listen, whatever this is, let me turn away from it. Or Yahuah will use someone to say, hey, warning, with a stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
You're going down the wrong path.
Mm-hmm.
So in verse 20, that's what caught my attention, because if I put him in a dangerous situation, so Yahuah knows, but he's using that as a caution.
Mm-hmm. Now the question is concerning other nations, and so you have, but Yahuah have always, you will notice in the scriptures, family, that Yahuah uses the prophets even to warn the wicked. You see, not Yasharal, but the other nations. You see, so it's not judgment, but he's sending out the caution. You see what I'm saying? And he uses the prophet even to warn them, but they're going to stay in their wickedness. You see? Even Masha, absolutely. Yashayahu, Ezekiel, he uses the prophets to warn the wicked nations. But the thing with the wicked nations, they don't take heed. You see? So that's not judgment. You see? That's Yahuah warning them, saying, listen, I see your wickedness. And when judgment comes, you will have no excuse. You will have no excuse, because you have been told. It has been shown to you. You are without excuse. And so when we speak out against the injustice, Yahuah expects for us to speak out, but Yahuah also put it in us to speak out as a warning against the wicked concerning their wickedness, so that they will be without excuse. So, speaking out.
I appreciate that.
Yes, you're welcome, Daki. So speaking out, sometimes people misunderstand speaking out as if we are judging them. No, that's not what that's about. You see, it's Yahuah's warning to the wicked, though they will not take heed, and he has used the prophets to do so many times. Yes, indeed. All right. Yeah, but nonetheless,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It did have merit.
It
Okay.
did say, and initially it said something about the evil man, though.
No, that's talking about Yasharal, people in Yasharal being evil.
Okay.
Yes.
See, he gonna die.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break here, family. We're going to take a break. I'm going to stop the live broadcast via Facebook and YouTube. And then, to my brother, Richard in Jamaica, if you're listening, Shadi, we're going to take a break and then we'll come back afterwards. And to the rest of the family, we're going to take a break and then we'll come back afterwards. So,
Wagwan, Shadi.
yes, so we're going to stop the broadcast, the live feed on Facebook and on YouTube. And then family, we'll see you after the break. Fuse will remain open. I'm going to probably put some videos on during the break here on Fuse. So we're going to break for a half an hour and then we'll come back. All right. It's 4:13 my time, 4:13 Eastern time. And so I'll see you around 4:45 Eastern, half an hour from now, your time, family. So let me stop the other broadcast on Facebook and on YouTube, and then I'll be seeing you after the break. Family, we'll see you after the break. Facebook and YouTube.